What's on the back page? Eric Ten Hag, Manchester United appointed Ajax coach as next manager. The Daily Graphic, economy rebounds faster. Government quickens process towards pre-COVID era levels. Upon Nkrumah, information minister. Over 3,550 deferred students reinstated. Don't blame economic challenges on Russia-Ukraine war, TUC tells government. And security agencies probe 2022 CSSPS bribery allegations. On the back page, Dennis Odoy, last action hero. There. The Daily Guide this morning says civil local government workers strike. They tell Imani to go and sleep. Traders hijack Tamale interchange. Review Supreme Court rules. All economies in trouble. Eben Chambers. The Finder newspaper is next. Dr. Okoboy appointed acting CEO of NHI. Government legally acquired and owns Accra Mpehwasem lands. Lands Commission says so. Religious harmony is bedrock of prevailing peace. Dr. Baumia, that's what we have there. The Ghanaian Times, at pre-May Day Forum, no minimum wage below inflation rates this year. TUC to government. And CLOSAG members embark on nationwide strike to demand neutrality allowance. World Bank urges Ghana to initiate action to resolve debt burden. Ghana Health Service launches second phase of national COVID-19 vaccination campaign. The Ghanaian Observer. Ghana's economy records fastest growth in 2 years. Kandapa cautions over delayed justice, biased justice, and impending farming season. Farmers petition government over lack of fertilizers. Don't hear frivolous cases in court. Attorney General to the Judiciary. Last but not least, the Custodian newspaper dismissed frivolous cases. AG urges Supreme Court. Also, Okoboy appointed NHI boss. Congrats to him. Government is bringing back economy. Debt to GDP ratio drops. And legalize marijuana. Reggie Rockstone tells government. And what's on the back page? I would like to coach the Black Stars in future. Blaobi Asamoah says so. Also, Didier Drogba said to become first African to be inducted into Premier League Hall of Fame. And players who want to go to World Cup should avail themselves for AFCON qualifiers. Yao Preko is a former Ghanaian winger. My guest this morning, lawyer Abraham Amalaba. He is a member of the NDC and is the head of the Legal and Communications Team. Council, good morning. Welcome. How are you doing?
I'm fine. It's important that we are surviving. That's what I can say.
I hear you. Lawyer Kwame Janto is the chairman of Political Affairs Committee of the CPP. Council, good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
I am alive and well.
I liked your take this morning. Something should be done about it.
Thank you very much.
What was it about?
The prisons.
Congestion.
Congestion.
And Ezia Kumi is a member of the NPP's communication team. Good morning. Good to see you. You have been missing.
Yeah, I've been in my hideout small.
I see. You have a hideout.
Yeah.
I didn't know about that.
And it depends on what goes on in that hideout.
Exactly, exactly. But you have two lawyers here, so you're fine.
Yeah.
You're fine, you're fine. Anyway, let's begin from KNUST. Quick thoughts. The school has rescinded its decision to, if you like, have 6,000 students defer for non-payment of school fees or their inability to fulfill that requirement of the institute. What do you say, Ernest?
Yeah, let me say good morning to Ghanaians and our viewers out there. In general, I think it's a good decision for the school to rescind the decision. Looking at the future of the kids involved or our brothers and sisters involved, it is appropriate that at least the school recount its step, give such an opportunity to the students to make progress. Be it as it is, there's also an opportunity for us to advise our brothers and our sisters out there, and also some form of parental guidance must also go on into the future of our kids. That being said, it means that if you look at the things that is being accounted for as the reason that these students having not been able to pay their fees, I think it is appropriate that such form of advice or one form of guidance be gone into our brothers and sisters school. We need not to leave them like that people go to school and they decide to whatever that they want to do with their fees or whatever that has been given to them for their care. I think people must pay attention to their work.
has not been able to provide scientific evidence to that. They just said people are engaged in bakery and taxi hailing services and betting. But they have not been able to give us scientific.
Yeah, there may not be scientific
That's the
data.
University of Science and Technology.
Yes,
by the way.
there may not necessarily be scientific data, but you and I know that by observation and also by experience, maybe they can tell. You know, by doing certain things over time, one could realize that indeed this is what is happening. So maybe, although there's no data for them to speak to, by observation, by the various tutors that are in charge of the halls and that interact with the students, they can easily tell what is accounting for that. So even though that these data do not speak to it, I mean, I think that by observation and experience, they can tell from it. And even if there's even the smallest number of people that are involved in such practices, it is best we advise them that first they have to focus on their education, then they come out and then they can do or live up to whatever standards of life that they want to live.
I hear you. Council.
Well, it's good news. It's good news that those who were asked to proceed home because they couldn't pay their fees are back. It's good news that we have the students back.
Not all of them, though. 3,000.
Yeah, but it's good news that something has been done to have them back. Yes, it's good news. But this is a temporary measure. These things will continue to revisit us. In other words, what has become of our scholarship schemes in this country for students? How robust are they to take care of? There are some who have genuine concerns or genuine lack of funds to pay the fees. I am particularly interested in those ones. You are right that the school did not provide any proof that people were using their money for taxi business and those things. But I will not have sympathy for those who do those things, where school fees are handed to you and then you decide to do that. But all this gamut of problems brings to question our scholarship schemes. To what extent do we engage in means tests to ensure that the poor who genuinely cannot pay are assisted? Because now that they've done this, it's just a temporary measure. Next year, when it is time to pay fees, you still have pockets of students who genuinely cannot pay. But they mustn't be allowed to fall on the way because of the fact that they are unable to pay. So I am questioning the scholarship secretariat. I'm questioning the other one, the one that the government mortgage get fund. To what extent are they dealing with such issues? That for me is the key issue.
Hey, Alexandra.
Good morning.
Morning, sir.
I wonder how the university is able to differentiate and find out those who have needs, real needs. Because in other jurisdictions, that is done.
Right.
In other jurisdictions, you are given a student loan and you don't start paying that loan till you are in employment.
Right.
And a certain percentage is taken out of your salary. I think the structure of the way we pay our fees and how it links into our educational framework should be looked at. Because this is perennial. It isn't something that is going to happen today and tomorrow it won't happen. It is a continuous thing.
That's right.
And something really has to be done about it. We can't afford, and as you were saying this morning, some of us are going to die out, are going to be out of the public domain soon. We need to be able to fill them with the young people. If the young people don't have the basic skills to start gaining experience in the different areas we have, then where does this country head for? The key thing is we need that natural resource. The most important resource you have in any country is the people, and we need that natural resource. So from the basic of the university, and even the trend of the way they even get into university, get into higher education, it should be looked at. That change should be looked at to make sure that we don't go through these challenges.
But Johnny, you know that most of the students rely on SNIT loans sometimes to pay their fees. Some of them.
That's right.
When we're in school, that's what some of our colleagues did. But I'm told that in the last 2 years or so, SNIT loans have not been paid.
Even when they can use their Ghana card to secure loans and pay after national service.
That's a promise. That's a promise they made. But let's even not talk about the promise which has not been implemented. Let's talk about the existing situation where when students open after 6-7 weeks, they are giving their loans. This is not happening. And so, again, it boils down to government's conduct, which is also making some of these students not being able to pay their fees. And I think that government too must look at its own conduct.
Johnny, I also think Parliament has a huge role to play.
Okay.
We have a committee, educational committee. Some of these things they should be able to take up and see how best they can work with government to resolve them. Because some people come from really, homes that the breadwinner can't pay anything. And so we should structure it in such a way that we can capture some of these people. And those people who are using their school fees to do other things, really and truly, they don't deserve to be in university.
Because there's some of them who are not being given school fees. They're fending for themselves to be in school. So they are looking at the turnaround time for, okay, can I put my money here, raking some profit, and pay a bit of it?
Those I understand. Right. But those who are giving school fees to go and pay the fees.
Exactly.
If you are doing that, then you are not even being fair to your own parents. You're not being fair.
Because now the schools demand 70% upfront. Some 80, some 90. No longer 50, 60, 40, that kind of ratio, because the schools are also complaining that they don't get subventions from government.
And they could fall into debt.
Yeah, exactly. So they have to press the students to get what they can to manage it. And that's what has brought us into this situation.
Yes.
Last year, for example, or the year before, I think GIG also had a similar problem, and you can't sit for your exam and all of that.
That is why I'm saying the structure, the entire framework should be looked at. We shouldn't leave it, just as we were talking about the prisons. We've left the thing to rot. We can't leave it to rot. Let's deal with it as it comes up. And I think Parliament has a huge role to play also.
I hear you. So this is a senior officer of the prison service. He says, Johnny, I'm so grateful to you for advocating for Ghana Prison Service. You said it all. Can you believe we have not received a single vehicle for operations since President Atta Mills died? Politicians have forsaken us. God bless you. Keep up the good work. Prison service, justice support system. Interesting. Anyway, you're laughing.
Yeah.
Because we are all potential prisoners. So.
No. I mean, I was listening to you. I mean, I listened to you, and I had a few discussions with Mr. Janto as we were sitting outside there and listening to you. And it's quite important that we emphasize on these things and we take a second look at things. I mean, I was telling him about the last time when I visited Koforidua prisons, and even the people I visited, it's not as if they have offended the law. They were even innocent, but they were wrongfully remanded. Yeah. Exactly. But then me, who is a visitor, I mean, if I look at the channel through which I had to enter the prison, I feel they were unfair to me. How much more the people there? You had to bend to even go through the gate. So I was telling him that even the colonial system of incarcerating people and keeping people in prison, we need to look at it. So that, I agree with you, but it's been an age-old problem with us, and I think it's good you have started advocating, and I'm sure it's our time we'll speak about it, to look at.
I thought you would bring the Minister of Interior on and question him.
The Minister of Interior?
Yeah.
Well, do they accept invitations?
Oh, why not? No, if you say that, that would be so unfair to him.
I've personally spoken to 2 ministers who have agreed to be on this set for one-on-one conversations, and they haven't.
Yeah, but
shall I mention their names?
Yes, no. We're looking at the interior.
Why don't you want me to mention?
No, we're looking at the interior minister in this case. No, you can only speak about it when you've actually done that. Right. But once you've not done that, let us just leave.
Will you facilitate that?
Oh, if you ask me to.
Yeah, I'm asking you on national TV now.
Okay, so
I'm
after
grateful.
here,
thank you very
give
much.
me that.
I'm grateful.
And I'll try that for you.
I'll keep this tape for future.
Sure.
Most grateful. CLOSAG is on strike. Let's hear the reaction from Mr. Bampo following Mr. Franklin Kujo of Imani, who was asking questions about whether or not the neutrality allowance is necessary at all. He says it should be scrapped. Let's hear him.
What locus has Imani Ghana got to do? They should go and read the labor law. It's a solution between an employer and an employer. What is his locus? My friend, tell him to go and sleep. He should mind his own business. Thank you.
Okay. We don't like peace, we like violence always. But Yamalaba, I'll start this one with you. This is the posture of CLOSAG. They say you went into a meeting with them, agreed, you're back at the table, and you are asking them to, he's asking Imani to go and sleep, literally. What do you say? Should Imani go and sleep too?
Should who go and sleep?
Imani, Franklin Kujo, and his Imani.
Well, I don't know what is between the two of them, so I don't want to be part of that. But what I think is that CLOSAG is asking for what is legitimately due them. There is this allowance called neutrality allowance. That allowance is to ensure that local government workers do not engage in partisanship when they are conducting their affairs in their various offices. Is to keep them neutral. And so if we have such an allowance and it is due them, I think it's not out of place to request for it. They have indicated that a number of meetings have been held. They were promised, and it appears that promise is fizzling out. And so if that's the case, I tend to agree with them that there is something that government must do to fulfill its promises. But it's not only CLOSAG. You know, TUC are also up in arms.
Right.
And they are threatening government. And for the first time, I heard the TUC boss use the word all die, what is it? Do and die.
Do and die. Right.
Do and die. I don't know how the government will interpret this one too. But they are saying that they are not going to accept anything below the inflation rate.
Right.
You know?
Right.
So it tells us that all is not well with our labor front. Times are hard. And I heard the TUC boss, and I agree with him, indicate that government should stop, and I agree with him that they should stop, putting excuses out there that it is because of COVID, it is because of Russia-Ukraine war. That is the reason for which things are the way they are. And he said that, look, some of these things were already in existence. Some of these challenges were already in existence before the COVID and before the Ukraine-Russian war. So I think that it is a clarion call for government to track back, sit with labor, and here, not piecemeal, entire labor front, and deal with their issues.
The government admits that they are cash-strapped. Yesterday, Dr. John Kuma told them point blank that, look, we don't have the money you are asking for at this time. So can they cut government some slack, go back, and then come back to the table later?
That is difficult to accept when you have the ostentatious lifestyle of those in government staring in the face of the people. That is difficult when you have a president who will not listen to the cry of the people. That is difficult for TUC, UTAG, NAGRAT, to all, CTAG, and all these people to agree that, look, government is cash-strapped. If government is cash-strapped, you expect some humility, you expect some form of austere measures being rolled out, and you can visibly see it. Yesterday, I was watching you. You were asking the government representative here, how do we know that 30% have been taken off? And how do we know that this 30% is being used for this? How do we monitor all these things? And these are questions that they can't answer. Apart from that,
you think they can't answer?
But that he couldn't answer. Apart from that,
she said in the coming days the modalities are being worked. Akosia Menu said that, so that in the coming
so
days,
no modalities
will be answered.
No modalities were put in place before this policy was announced. And I'm saying that for the president alone, he himself is a problem when it comes to confidence, in putting confidence in labor. That, look, we are in difficult times because of his own lifestyle of chartering planes and chartering luxurious planes, which cost more than 15,000 an hour. And I think that they will have a Herculean tax confronting the labor, and they will have a Herculean tax of convincing labor that times are hard and so they should not ask for more. That for me is going to be a difficult task for them.
I hear you. Ernest, the closer guys are not bowing to your explanation and admission, the fact that government doesn't have money, because they have come from a place where they had negotiations with government and government has gone back on their words. As we speak, UTAG, for example, agreed to go back to the classroom following appeals by elder statesmen and all of that. The portion of the agreement and the commitment of government to them has not been settled, but the schools are settling them. CITAG, same. The non-teaching staff of the training colleges, same. You can count about 8 strikes already in the first 2 quarters of the year. What's going on?
All right, Johnny, first of all, we need to admit that the worker is deserving of his wages. And me, as a Christian, I believe that when people work, they must be paid. Because the Bible says in Leviticus chapter 25 that you need not to hold on the salary of a hired man until morning. That means that you need not to delay the worker of his wages. And therefore, when it comes to these things, I consider them very important, but the way we handle them is what we need to look at. One, when it comes to employer-employee relationship, these are things that must be of utmost interest to everybody. Because one, the employer may be in a very tight corner, whereas the employee may also be in necessary needs of his wages. If not anything, we need to ask ourselves that what has brought in this problem. And I was happy you pointed out to my brother here in senior, Amaliba, who mentioned that for him, he agrees that we are in a tight corner, but then he doesn't see any austere measures being put in place by government. But then, just even from your newspaper outlook, you mentioned, even Chambers said all economies are struggling. So it's not just Ghana alone. It is very clear and apparent that all governments are struggling. All governments are trying to come back on track and put back their economies after the COVID. So Ghana government, same issue. We are all trying to make sure that we bounce back or the economy bounce back. So I have said that I do not have problem with all these labor unions agitating for increment or agitating for what is due them. But the problem is the timing. If you look at the situation,
what's wrong with the timing?
Where we find, that's why I indicated the struggling economies across the world, whereas Ghana is not an exception. So if you see that various economies are struggling, then you must all understand, or we must all understand that we have a contribution towards the recovery of the economy, or we have contribution towards the bouncing back of the economy. And therefore, there's a role I have to play as much as every other person within the economy. So all unions can agitate for whatever they need. But the problem is that you look at where we are now, then you ask yourself what you are asking for at this moment. Is it an essential thing that the state can actually say we are foregoing all other opportunity cost and come to your aid by that? The problem, that's what we need to look at.
The problem is that they don't seem to see what government is sacrificing. So, for example, if I'm a university professor, I go to work every day. I research, I teach, I set questions, I mark scripts, I supervise IAs, and then seminars and all of that. And my entire salary for going to work almost every day of the year is equivalent to 20% of the allowance that a member of the Council of State can say, I can give to the state, I can forfeit this for the state to enjoy. That level of equality will not be there. They will not listen to this sermon you're preaching from Leviticus.
All right. So, Johnny, before we come to your analogy of the university lecturer, let's stay on track for the closer. Okay. I'll come to this, your analogy of the university, because that's a holistic and systemic problem that must be looked at. It is not pertaining to this administration. It is not an imminent problem that needs to be looked at right now. So it's a whole generalistic conversation that must be have on a different occasion. I cannot sit here and pretend to know the solution to that and pretend to have an answer to that point. And I don't think you know too. So it's something that must be discussed holistically. Now, back on track with the CLOSAC issue. You ask yourself that what they are demanding for is this something that urgently must be done in context of our economic situation now? That's what I was trying to avert our minds to. And I wasn't just preaching Leviticus to you. So the truth of the matter is that, just as Imani has pointed out, is one of the questions that we must all ask ourselves. It's one of the things that even CLOSAC, the members themselves, must also ask themselves. Yes, it may be a benefit that is due you. But then the question you ask yourself is that at this time of our economy, or at this time of the challenges or global challenges ongoing, you think it is within place for governments to make exceptions for such allowances?
Are we going to scrap it?
Are you? No, I'm not in position to say. When you ask me such a question.
You don't have an opinion on this?
No. I have an opinion on that.
What is your opinion?
And that is what I'm indicating. That's what I'm pointing out.
I'm talking about the neutrality allowance.
Yeah, that's what I'm pointing out. I'm saying that
to them to be,
it's now
for them
on
to
the
be
table.
Neutral.
It's now on the table for us to look at. That's why I'm asking specific questions. That just as Imani has pointed out and being disputed by their chairman,
right, Mr.
Bampo, that he should go to bed. I don't think it's an appropriate answer for him to give. Because you are an employee, you are demanding or advocating for a benefit. Convince the rest of us, convince government that it is imminent, it is quite necessary
but
that
had
allowance.
An agreement with them.
I am saying yes, but
so,
you know.
So it is what they like, which is quoting.
Yeah, but in the growth cycle, of every organization. There are things that are bound to change. You understand? It could be an existing benefit government can scrap or your employers can scrap. It could be that it doesn't even exist. Your employers can introduce. These are things that are bound to happen within the life cycle of any organization. So whether you have agreed for it to be in place or not, now you ask yourself, at what stage is the organization? Is the organization capable of providing that benefit to you? That's the question you ask yourself. So if I am an employer, if I own an entity, and I've told you that next year I'm going to pay you neutrality allowance. The question you ask yourself is that if you look at my cash flow, if you look at my bank statement, if you look at my transactions for the year, am I in a good place to pay those benefits to you? That's what must be asked. So that's why I'm saying that, yes, they may have a good point, they may have a valid point that they have agreed with government, but have they assessed the environment? Have they asked themselves the status of the economy now as to whether the government is capable of paying? And we all know genuinely, looking at the global challenges ongoing now, government may not be in place to pay this allowance. So even if you are demanding for it, there's a way you go about it, not to all of a sudden just strike for us to come to a halt or for government business
so
to come
you don't
to
support the strike, but you support Imani?
Oh, I think that this whole neutrality allowance must be looked at. What is the relevance? What is its stake in motivating the workers? Do we actually have them being neutral as they are? Do we say that? Almost every successive government have complained about government workers, both civil and public service, sabotaging government business. Do we actually see the neutrality? So it's something that must be looked at. A conversation must take place on about these things. And I think that Imani has set the tone. It's about the rest of us to have this discussion. And the chairman, Mr. Bampo, must also be on the part of explaining to us, granting us or giving us the motivation and the incentives to admit as the general public to say, yes, we think they deserve it. And they must also prove that indeed it's worthy of being paid to them. It's not just accepting the money, but it's also working to show that indeed, when you are giving that neutrality allowance, you remain neutral. And the state will ultimately benefit from that.
Hey, Janto, where do you stand?
I was quite aghast when I heard, was it Mr. Bampo?
Mr. Bampo
indicate that Imani, what is their locus?
Right.
Is it not taxpayers' money we are using to pay them? And if it's taxpayers' money, doesn't the taxpayer have a right to talk about it? But you see, government have put themselves in this corner. Why do I say that?
How?
When did they sign this contract? This proposal, these discussions have been going on since 2019.
Right.
When did they sign? Wasn't it January? Didn't they know they didn't have money January?
When they went on the first
The challenges that we are facing financially, did it start when? Today? The beginning of the year, didn't we know we had challenges financially, the country? So why did they agree to it? Why did they agree to? Why did government agree to? When you knew, before you agree to something like that, you know you have the buffer there to pay.
But there were 6 strikes at the same time. Perhaps government was under a certain load of labor actions. So maybe they caved in.
There is a systemic problem that needs to be sorted out. Conditions of service. That is what government should be looking at. COSAC do not have conditions of service. So you come and tell us that neutrality allowance, because what? It's giving them so that they don't get involved in politics. What does the Constitution say? The Constitution indicates that if you're a public servant, you are not allowed to engage in partisan politics. It's been reinforced by the Supreme Court. So, if I work for the civil service and I want to go into politics, what do?
You resign.
This gentleman who was a police officer, who now is in parliament, did he not resign?
Tobu.
Did he not resign?
He did.
So what are we talking about? Where is the and you see, this is where when some of us say you want to charge e-levy and we don't think you use our money judiciously, these are some of the things. How can you say that because you don't want civil servants to go into politics, you are paying them a compensation? But the other thing that COSAC hasn't been able to do for us, which I pray they do, they say it's more than a neutrality allowance.
Okay.
There are other things involved. They should give us the proposal to look through.
The list.
The list to look through to see whether that is right or whether that isn't right. Because it's taxpayers' money. And government has sat down and agreed to it. I think, for me, I think it should be scrapped. I agree with the money. It should be scrapped.
It should be scrapped. The workers will not be happy with you.
And look, we should look at the conditions of service. We should look at the salaries we are paying them so that it lasts. Walk down the street, get a straw poll of Ghanaians, ask them whether they agree to this neutrality tax. Not unless there's something they are not telling us. Because if something is in the Constitution, the supreme law of the land, saying, civil servants, you can't involve in politics, you want me to pay you to stop that? Yes, I do agree.
You're drawing fair wages and NLC to the table.
I'm drawing everybody to the table. This is something we need to discuss. This is something we need to discuss because it's taxpayers' money. If it was government's money, if it was MPP money given to them, fine. Yeah, we don't have anything to do with it. It's taxpayers' money. And taxpayers expect that the money should be used judiciously. And if we are not paying COSAC members a living wage, then let's discuss it and see how we do it. They are not on a single spine.
They are not. Yeah.
They are not on a single spine. Why aren't they on a single spine? Because we were made to understand that every government worker is going to go on the single spine. What happened? What happened? You see, government sometimes gets itself in a certain corner that brings some kind of perception that really isn't there.
Do you think Labour is trying to stand government up? Because we are just in the first month of the second quarter, and you can count the number of strike actions against government, trying to put government on its feet or toes or stand them up in a certain corner.
You know, one of the challenges we have with governments in this country and this Fourth Republic,
No.
and I can only talk about the Fourth Republic, they have not been able to take issues on as they come up. They wait for it to get to a certain point. When there is no point of return, then they take it up. As these things are coming up, you deal with it. As these things are coming up, you deal with it. You knew we didn't have the money. You call them. You even invite them. Guys, we have made this promise. However, the finances of the country do not allow us to be able to do this.
But that's where Maliba's point comes in, that you are telling me we can't afford it, we don't have money. But I'm seeing that you are chewing chicken, and I have the bone of your chicken.
Well, that is another point, because it looks as if government is ready to do things where they are concerned, but not ready to do things where the people are concerned. And that is why I'm saying, with such things, you do it early. You don't wait for it to get to a certain point before you now start backtracking. Yes, the president's travels is the problem. people are not happy
Well,
with
ex
it.
gratia has been approved, has it not?
Well, that's another thing because they
So
see
you tell
do
people you can't
Exactly.
you can't pay them what you do them, but
Exactly.
you're paying yourself
We
back ex
should-
gratia.
we should-
Is austerity just about
Allow Mr.
ex
Jantua
gratia?
to
we
finish.
we should all, if the boat is rocking and we are all in the boat, we should all rock together. And some should not jump in the lifeboat and go and leave us on the boat. And you see, and that is it. If government were to do things that everybody feels you're also sacrificing, we would probably agree that, okay, we are all going through the boat, we are all tightening our belts. But if you don't see government tightening its belt and you are tightening your belt, for instance, I'll give a typical example of 6th March in Cape Coast. What was so obvious there? When we finished, could you see the number of 4x4s that strewned the place? And you sit and ask yourself, they say we don't have money, so where are all these cars coming from?
Okay. We'll take a break. What, you wanted an intervention?
Yeah, I just want to come in a bit.
Yeah.
You see,
Just a minute. We have to go for a break. So
yeah, but this austerity thing we talk about and the indicators we are giving are making it look like austerity is just about cutting down, let's say,
30%.
you say?
30% of
No, but the 30% is significant. Government has given
but where are you
indication.
putting the money? That's what I'm asking. If around this table we agree that we're going to buy this water,
Yeah.
so everybody must take a cut so we can buy it.
Government has
we
given-
put it in this piggy box, so we know how much we have earned. Then when we pour it, we can
Ernest,
account
I
for it
won't
and go and
stop
buy
you.
this.
A minute.
I must stop you. Look, we have made a windfall with oil. The benchmark price for the budget is $57. Oil has gone up to 130. We've made a windfall. Has government told us what we are doing with that windfall?
Net on net.
Don't you think it would be good if government says, look, we've made this windfall, this and this and this and this is what we're going to do for it, so that the people are informed, so that some of us don't come and sit here and point fingers at government.
Okay, so I don't want to go back to
You
Mr.
won't go
I want
there.
to finish my point
But
first.
his point is valid, isn't
No,
it?
no, I'll come to the windfall. Mr. Jantua knows very well that there are other, although yes, I believe that in line with transparency, it's in order for
And
the government and
accountability.
accountability.
Yes.
It's in order for the government to indicate where the monies are being put in terms of in terms of the weight, or in terms of the windfall. But he also acknowledges that there are shortfalls in terms of loans and other things that we have already.
tell me.
Exactly.
So
So
tell
it's,
me.
it's
You're
all
not
about
telling me.
it's all about the
You're not telling me.
transparency.
But that's your job.
Hold on.
That's your job.
Hold on. It's all about the transparency and the accountability. But when you throw it out there, because we don't know, because we've not been told, if we conjecture and make it look like the money is not being put
Ernest,
where it's supposed to be, then it is wrong.
Your mother
Johnny,
gives you,
just give me-
sorry, your mother gives you
No, a
this.
lot of things has been thrown out. If you don't give me the opportunity
Sorry,
to-
I'll give you an opportunity. I remind you. Your mother gives you this to go and sell on the market. Your mother says, go and sell it for 1 cedi. When you get onto the market, somebody decides to buy it for 2 cedis. Now, you come back and you are not able to tell your mother that, well, you sent me to go and sell it for 1 cedi. I made 1 cedi more, and so this is the 1 cedi. Or I used the 1 cedi to buy a rubber bag to save the other, products that I couldn't sell.
Okay.
Tell the people.
So within my mother and myself, the arrangement is that at every month end, I come and I render account and I tell what I made out of my sale and what the money has been used for. So within periodic and systemic times, the government comes and accounts for the money that it has been it has come to its hands and what the money has been used for.
has ended. Where's the report?
Oh no, Johnny. You see, government cannot come to us at every least opportunity and explain to us that these are the monies we had and what we've been using the money for. That's why we have times and time the finance minister. No, don't give me an example, please. No, hold on. Let me finish. You guys keep swaying my argument. That's why the finance minister, the president.
Argument.
I'm not saying argument. I want to show him that where he's going. There are questions there.
No. I'm saying that. That's why from time to time, the finance minister, the president...
Can we take a break? When we come back, you have the windfall question to answer.
Okay.
And then the waste and whether the people can trust your
That's
explanations. When we come back, you have the opportunity. We'll take a break. Return soon.
Madam, please hurry up. I'm running late for work.
But what do you do?
Oh, I'm a major stakeholder in the local food industry. I manufacture and distribute golden, deep-fried, spherical, and sometimes ovoid-shaped dough balls.
And what about fruit?
Pa!
Yes, Buffalo!
Shine your hustle every day with the goodness of Fan Yogo. So cool, so good. This advertisement is FDA approved.
From the office to the streets, we all want to go home to a comfortable bed that allows us to relax and rejuvenate for the next day. But choosing the right mattress can be confusing, and it's critical for your health and well-being. Most people think that the harder the mattress is, the better. But this is actually not true. A mattress can affect your health in so many ways. If it is too soft, you will sink and your spine will be misaligned. If the mattress is too hard, you will suffer on pressure points, such as your shoulders and your hips. So when selecting a mattress, it is important to choose one that is comfortable and provides proper support. Other factors to consider are whether you sleep on your back, side, or face down on your stomach. You will spend 1/3 of your life in bed, so don't compromise when buying a mattress. Let us guide you to select the mattress that best suits you. Don't opt for bad quality simply because it seems cheaper, or else you do yourself.
Latex Foam, your partner for life.
For generations, Ghanaians have had one thing in common, and that's the way we start our day. Wherever your day will take you, start with the energy from Cadbury Rich Cocoa, made from the finest Ghanaian cocoa.
This advert is FDA approved.
Kojak toothpaste, Kojak toothpaste. Hello there, good people. I bring to you the Kojak news. Coming up are the headlines. For a whiter, strong teeth and fresher breath, all you need is Kojak toothpaste and its sensitive toothbrush. Now, the news in details. Do your gum bleed after brushing your teeth or hurt after eating cold or hot foods? Then, Kojak P and Kojak F toothpaste, together with a mouth bath and sensitive toothbrush, is all you need. And to have a stronger and fresher breath, you need to use the Kojak regular fluoride toothpaste, which has a free brush in it just for you. For a whiter and stronger teeth, use the Kojak charcoal toothpaste, made from our very own charcoal and its special charcoal toothbrush. It comes in sizes: the small, medium, and large. Oh yes! And as you already know, Kojak products there, EB quality keke. This advert is FDA approved.
In the first 2 years, your baby will experience amazing growth in so many ways. To fuel it, they need the right nutrition. With Cerelac, one bowl of goodness a day provides the wholesomeness of carefully selected grains, the Iron Plus, which helps support brain development, and the yummy taste baby loves, assuring you the right nutrition in one bowl. Cerelac, it's all good, Mom.
This advert is FDA.
Oh, the excitement.
All
the passion has brought us to this. It's Talented Kids season finale. Week after week, the acts have performed, you voted, and the judges scored.
She gets a green, alright?
It's
green!
The 6 Talented Kids finalists: Tadia Ketesia, DJ Planet, Inshira, Nyamidom, Esvin Berner, and Clevesta the Poet. Let's find out who wins Talented Kids Season 13 live from the National Theatre this April 24 at 3 p.m. right here on TV3. There will be a festival from 10 a.m. So you don't want to miss out. Performing live are the reigning champion Akwada Nyame, Kweku Darlington, and Kamido. grab your ticket for only 25 Ghana cedis at the front desk of TV3. Dial *713*13# or download the TV3 Reality app on the Google Play Store or the Apple App Store to vote for your favorite contestants. Now, the question is, who wins the ultimate Talented Kids free to play?
Talented Kids is powered by Indomie, Deluxe Acrylic Paint, Cowbell, Our Milk, Vitamilk, Fanchoku, Enapamakrel, Heaven Black Insecticide Spray and Coil, Puma Drinks, Flora Tissues, E-Panel Paracetamol Syrup,
Asida Fabrics,
Tasty Treat Biscuit and Milk Snow Cake,
Calipo.
Welcome back, and thank you very much for staying with us. Lawyer Abraham Amalba is the NDC's head of legal and legal team. Sorry about that. He's also a member of the communication team. Lawyer Kwame Jantwa is a man in charge of everything political affairs at the CPP, and NSC Alkome is a member of the NPP's national communications team. Before the break, you were airborne, Ernest. So the question about the trust, as to whether you are being austere or not, and then the Closac issues.
All right, so Johnny,
then the windfall.
As I was speaking on the windfall, like I said, I think it is appropriate and in line with transparency and accountability that government always or all the time tells us about what actually they use the money for. But like I was indicating, there are structures in terms of accountability, and the law makes provision for the finance minister and the president as the chief executive of the state to come to parliament, and also it also makes provision for the various agencies and state institutions to account to us publicly what these monies are used for. And I believe in time we'll see what these windfalls are used for. Like I said, my uncle here acknowledges that there are shortfalls in the system that indeed these monies go to make out for. And with time, it will be put out there for all of us to see. Now, back to the issue of austerity measures. Now, your question is that how do we know that this 30% cut is used for ABCD? Yeah. Now, what we must all know is that at the end of the year, we'll be told that the 30% cut that we had was used for maybe in building school structures or in building hospitals, or these 1, 2, 3 hospitals that were built were out of this 30% cut that was made out of...
how do I follow the money when you're putting it in the consolidated funds? You should create a separate fund.
During the NDC time, the cut that was done, how did you follow it?
They were voted out of power.
No, I'm not. But in the end, they accounted for it by telling us that they used that money in building cheap compounds.
And I'm telling you that the people disagreed, so they voted them out of power.
Who disagreed?
You have power. The people voted NDC out of power in 2016.
Yeah, but I'm saying, I'm sure you're asking for the means of accounting for the 30% count. Right. And I am telling you that that 30% cut will be accounted for at the end of the year or at the end of 2 years when the money has been accumulated. Then the government will tell you that this 30% cut that was realized out of the salaries of government workers or government appointees were used in building schools, were used in building hospitals, and it makes out for...
I'm saying that show me where you're putting the money so I can follow the money. You have announced that you're putting it in the consolidated funds, and I'm saying I can't trace the money there. So create a separate fund for it and show me that this is the money, this is our contribution, and this is what we're going to use it for.
So,
do you get my point?
I get your point, right. But that is not the only means to be able to trace the money, or that is not the only means that the money can be accounted for. It's one way. You are saying that as a journalist, your interest is that you want to see where the money is going for you to follow through. And I'm saying that yes, the other means is that the government will also put those monies into investment or whatever structures that they want to use the money for. And in the end, it will be accounted for. And you see clearly that indeed this 30% cut was used in building hospitals or schools or roads. And you can also invariably know that indeed that money has been used for that project.
Do you think that's the best way to win the people's trust?
Oh, for me, what is important is for the people to see that indeed, yes, what they said they were going to do, they've done it, and they've been able to account for it in a proper way. You see, that's as a citizen, that's my interest.
I'm asking you this because when we contributed to build the Ghana's first infectious disease center in 3 months, the money, Senor Hussein and his team told us where the money was going to be, and they gave us timelines, and they showed us what you have not given us any specification apart from saying that you're going to take a 30% cut. Whether you take it or not, we don't know. Because of how it is structured now.
This senior Hosi comparison you are making, it's a prepayment transaction. People paid ahead, then they decided to build. In the end, and there's not a government entity. You see, these are individuals. Therefore, clearly you can see and monitor. But it's the way government. There's a way government systems work. Is it that then this MPP administration just decided that we have a consolidated fund by structure, by systemic structure, by law? There's a consolidated fund. So whether you like it or not, things must be done in accordance with law and best practices. And I'm saying that you cannot compare individual and private transactions to government transactions.
And so you're suggesting,
in the end,
you're suggesting to me that
there will be something to show for.
Is the government able to create a separate fund? Okay, a separate fund to say like free SHS fund, this fund, to say this is the fund. If I deduct 30, this is where I'm putting it. Council of State 2020, this is where I put it. Is the government able to do that? So that you win the trust that Mr. Foriata is asking us to give you?
But is the government not also able to do that through the consolidated fund? It's an alternative.
Like a drop in the ocean.
No, you are suggesting an alternative means you think is okay for. And I'm telling you that even that comparison you are doing with Senor Hosi and others, that's a prepayment transaction.
I hear you.
But this one, the money will be drawn month on month. Is that not the case?
You have generated conversations, so let them.
Mr. Jantua made a very good point about this neutrality allowance. And he said that it's a new allowance which has been brought into our system.
Right.
And I remember in 2016, when Nana Akufo-Addo, as he then was campaigning, he met Klosak, and these were the discussions they held. You get it? So he's right by saying that if you agree to these agreements and sign to them, then it's the case of having brought a small snake into your house, and it has now grown into a big one, and it's in your bedroom waiting for you.
Jatabi.
So you brought that small snake. This is not something, because when I heard it, I was trying to find out whether this has been in the system for all these years. But I just realized that it was an introduction by the MPP government. And so why is the MPP government now unable to meet that promise they made to the Klosak people? Now who calls them? So that's the issue.
20% of basic pay. How did you calculate that 20%?
For neutrality.
Yes, for neutrality. How was that calculated? You see, the one thing government is forgetting is that there's a certain percentage of Ghanaians who don't have confidence. So what do? You build confidence, you build trust. How do you build confidence? How do you build trust? You build confidence by showing, look, we've got X amount. We are going to build X schools.
Right.
Please, this is what the X schools are going to be.
Right.
Journalists, go and have a look at it, because what does that do? At the end of the year, that NS is saying, Auditor General will come and say whatever he's going to say. It compares. Oh, yes, they told us. We went to visit. And even it helps in terms of seeing whether that project has been completed or not.
That's right. Exactly what I was asking for.
Government needs to build confidence with the people. For me, it's not a question of playing politics. It's a question of trusting your government to do what they say they will do with the money. Simple. And what does it take for government to say, okay, we've got this windfall. We are going to use X to do this, X to do Y, J to do this. Media, monitor. We put monitoring systems in place that could be done, so that at the end of the year, we can tell where that money went.
That's right.
Today, Ghanaians find it so difficult to be able to identify where taxpayers' money has been invested. Very difficult. So you come at the end of the day, oh, we built this overhead here, we built this thing here. Have you told us exactly what went into it?
Question of accountability. Interesting.
We have a degree of transparency, but we don't have a degree of accountability, which is a problem. No two ways about it. It's a problem. And government shouldn't think we are just bashing them. Do the right thing and we will support you. You don't do the right thing, we'll talk about it. Simple.
I hear you. Okay. So, page 2 of the daily statement, the Attorney General and Minister of Justice, Godfrey Dame, has complained about the tendency of some lawyers who belong to political parties to resort to social media to deliberately bring the image of the judiciary into disrepute. He has therefore proposed a live telecast of all court cases of national importance apart from election petitions so that the public can follow the proceedings of such cases and make informed judgment. Mr. Danami made the call yesterday when he addressed the open of the bench bar and faculty conference. He observed that some lawyers embark on the action of deliberately denigrating the courts when their parties lose cases in the court. He insisted that such acts have the ultimate tendency to destroy the integrity of the justice delivery institutions in the country. Counsel, so it's like talking to the accountant and addressing the clerk as well. This directly perhaps comes to your party's domain. Is your party guilty?
The Attorney General, like I indicated yesterday, is becoming a danger to our justice delivery system.
Why?
He seeks to gag people who have a different view of judgments coming from the Supreme Court. He makes it look like we must all think alike as lawyers, and that if you dissent, then that means you are denigrating the Supreme Court. I have said about this Asin North case that the ruling of the two justices who dissented is the correct position of the law. Tell me, how does that denigrate the Supreme Court? Why? We sit on social media and critique the executive. We sit on social media and critique the legislature. Why would he be saying that when people critique the work of the judiciary, it amounts to denigrating the judiciary? Look, Article 125 says that justice emanates from the people. The judges are not the custodians or the owners of justice in this country. The justice is for us as a people. They are only holding it in trust for us. So the people have every right to critique judgments coming from the Supreme Court if they feel that something hasn't gone right. And so for the Attorney General to go out there and describe some people as the ones who belong to an opposition party are the ones who speak out against the rulings of the Supreme Court is, to say the least, a comment coming from an Attorney General who thinks that he is sitting in the office of the MPP legal team.
What do you say to his proposal that cases should be telecast live so that the public can make their own judgment of the proceedings?
The Attorney General is not my favorite Attorney General. I can tell you that, and I'll say it publicly. But on this one, I agree with him. On this particular one, I agree with him. Telecasting, because
are we looking at the cost implications?
It doesn't matter. The government, state must pay, because that brings the justice delivery system into your bedroom, and you begin to appreciate what is happening in court. And it's also a learning process. It will give the citizenry some understanding of the nuances and intricacies about the law. I think that for me, is one of the good calls that he has done. Okay. But for him to be dictating to the Supreme Court, telling them to deal with some cases as frivolous cases in their chambers, he hasn't got that locus. The judiciary is an independent body. By that conduct, he's feeding into the minds of people who are saying that the judiciary and the executive are in bed. He should stop. He, Attorney General, should stop making comments that give the impression that he's so comfortable with the judiciary to the extent that he's the one who now speaks for them. I think that is in bad taste. And Attorney General should desist from speaking in ways that suggest that he's doing the bidding of one political party. I think that is wrong for him.
Hey, Lajanto, you're also an officer of the court, and you also are the head of the political affairs of the CPP. Is your party guilty of what the Attorney General is saying, and did he cross the line, maybe?
You know, justice delivery in this country covers everybody. And the judiciary, when you look at the arms of government, the three arms of government, the judiciary is very technical. you need to be able to understand the workings of the judiciary, to be able to sometimes comment on some of the verdicts that come out of the Supreme Court. However, it beholds on practitioners of the law to be able to explain certain things that come out of the Supreme Court, judgments that come out of the Supreme Court. If you read the judgment with regards to the Speaker and the Deputy Speaker, when you read it, the technicalities of it, not every ordinary man will understand it. So it beholds on everybody to be able to dilute it for the ordinary man to understand. Now, we are human beings. One thing human beings do is that if they don't agree to a certain point, they would question. And the fact that they question doesn't mean they are questioning the authority of that institution. Yes, some people might do it in a way that doesn't hold water in terms of the language they use. But even so, when people use certain language for the judiciary, others counter it and say, you can't talk like that. And so it beholds probably on the Attorney General, instead of taking the stance he's taken, to be the one to explain some of these things to the people, because we all need to understand how these things work. The judiciary is the last bastion of solving problems. If you have a problem with the executive, if you have a problem with the legislature, you go to the judiciary for interpretation, especially the Supreme Court of the Constitution. That is their main job, to interpret the Constitution. If you have a problem, you go to either the High Court. If you are not satisfied with the verdict of the High Court, you go to the Appeals Court. It's very technical. So it beholds on all of us to be able to explain A, B, C, D, E.
Do you think that the Attorney General, as a leader of the bar, is crossing the line by telling the judiciary, for example, to dismiss certain cases in chambers, not to hear them in open court, and by telling them that we'll telecast this, and by advising lawyers not to denigrate the...
Is that part of his duty? What is the main function of the Attorney General? He is the law officer for government. Is that part of his duty? Maybe we've got to a stage where we tend to be using the Supreme Court a lot for a lot of interpretations. Maybe the Supreme Court should have a spokesperson to speak on their behalf. Maybe we've got to that stage because we are evolving. I mean, with technology today, it's running faster than us, and we need to catch up. Maybe we've got to that stage.
But the AG wears two hats: Minister of Justice, Attorney General. So he might be speaking as a
define Minister of Justice.
You are the lawyer. Educate me.
Define Minister of Justice.
You are the lawyer. Educate me, please.
What is his role as Minister of Justice? And some of us have said that role should be split. It has been said time and time again that the Attorney General should not hold those two roles as Minister of Justice and Attorney General, because you have a specific duty. Yes, you're Minister of Justice. There are things that you can, are in your court that you need to handle in terms of the justice system. But being Minister of Justice, does it also allow you to be, if I can use the word in inverted commas, begin and close, spokesperson for the Supreme Court? I think the Chief Justice has a huge responsibility in terms of how justice is laid out in this country. And look, politicians are politicians. And we have skewered our politics in such a way that the moment a party comes into power, the other parties that are also political parties, we wash them away. We don't see a situation where political parties can work together. Go to the British system. The opposition party works with the ruling party. Do we see that here?
We don't.
We have to get to a point where
Johnny.
we look at changing the trajectory so that it's easier for people to understand the workings of the judiciary.
And as you have heard the lawyers, me and you,
Johnny.
we have friends who are learned.
Well, just a few opinions of mine. I mean, contrary to other opinions that have been expressed, I think the Attorney General per Article 88 is a key stakeholder in terms of delivery of justice in this country. Because for you to institute any criminal prosecutions, it goes through the Attorney General. Civil proceedings of government goes through the Attorney General. And against government also comes to the Attorney General. So for anybody occupying such a position is a principal person or key person in terms of the administration of justice. And therefore his comment or his contribution towards the delivery of justice is very important. There's a difference between criticizing someone and making disparaging comments about a person. That's what we need to look at. The fact that the judiciary itself, or even the Supreme Court, they are dissenting opinions, means that they are not saying they are sacrosanct and therefore they are immune to criticism. No, they accept it. Because even per the judges at the bench, some dissent and others also are on the other side. So they make room for these dissenting opinions. And therefore, you can dissent. But the way you go about it, we've always cited that when President Akufo-Addo did not agree with the election, the judgment of the election petition in 2013, he said, look, I don't agree, but I accept it. And that's a way to criticize, not a way for you to make disparaging.
Who has denigrated the Supreme Court than Akufo-Addo?
No, hold on.
Akufo-Addo described
the standard whereby even generally accepted principles of law, where you know that this is basic principle.
Okay,
basic principle. You come out of court and insult judges by calling the Supreme Court. You see, that's why the problem is. So you can't come and make denigrating comments about the judges.
Nobody has made denigrating comments about judges.
And accept that to be criticism.
We have to go. Lawyer Kwame Jantwa is the head of the Political Affairs Committee of the CPP, and also lawyer Abraham Amalba is the head of the legal team of the NDC. And then yes, I'm learning. You taught me the other time, so I can't forget. And then NSC Alkumi is with the NPP's National Communications team. Well, a message here says, if the government did not have money to pay, why did they sign to pay in January? Government should have reverted to CLOSAC if it's finding it difficult to pay and not wait until now. Tell Kumi that it has been agreed and government must pay. I'm sure this one is a CLOSAC man. He says, the argument is being twisted. The issue is that all public workers barred from involving in partisan politics per Article 94(3)(b) have a litany of allowances except the CLOSAC members. This is the argument. The nomenclature of the allowance may be problematic, but we deserve it. Shalom. Dennis Akwete is a CLOSAC local chairman, a yellow crowboy. Send this one. A prison officer also sent this. He says, Johnny, thanks a lot. Why? Secondary prison, I'm an officer there. It's not a place for human beings to live and for them to change at all. Please keep telling them for us. And he says, my name has been withheld. But thank you very much indeed. Quick. Happy birthday to Elizabeth Ewisi, a teacher at the Royal Academy School at Kwabeng in the Eastern region. And also happy birthday in advance to you, Larry Darrell Pa Kwesi Moses, our correspondent in the Bono regions. Happy birthday also to Evelyn Esel, aka Queen Shady at Kaswa, Ota City, and to Julius Kojo Arthur, head of sales, CBI Ghana Limited, Super Sem. Happy birthday to you. This from all your friends, Julius Kojo Arthur, head of sales, CBI Ghana Limited, Super Sem. Happy birthday to you. We'll see you after the break. There's more here on TV3 Newday.